Okay, so you see, I just wrote the Bible verse over there on top.
Love of motivation.
And so it's going to give me, straight away, it's going to give me an explanation of the verse. But I want to go over here. You see where it says lexicon? So I put the Bible verse that I want to know what the words mean in Greek or in Hebrew or whatever. And then I go to the lexicon and I go onto lexicon. And once I got it on lexicon, it's going to give me word for word what the Bible says with the different, so it says, so when they were finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, can you see it's going down? Yes. The verse is going down. And on the right hand side, in the Greek, it's got the Greek word and what it sounds like. And over here, on Strong's, it's actually got, if you go to Strong's, it tells you in the original language what it meant. So I'm looking for the word love. What did Jesus say to Simon Peter when he said, Peter, do you love me? Okay? Go on. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter. But you've seen that, and then next week I'll show you deeper. But if you go, it's so easy. You just go to Bible Hub, you put your verse, you look at lexicon, and it gives you just straight away the verse all going down. And then word for word, you in the Greek what it sounded like, because the New Testament is written in Greek. If you're using a verse from the Old Testament, it will have you in the Hebrew what it sounds like. And then when you go into that number under Strong's, it tells you the actual meaning in that verse, the original word, what it meant. Mm-hmm. And so it just changes everything around. And I'll explain to you using that verse that I've got now. I'm gonna show you what a difference it means to actually know what the word meant in the original. So, but Bible for me, I know that Peter, he was our other Bible school teacher. He had other ways of going to find the original language. But for me, the easiest one is Bible Hub, because I just do that 2 steps. I put the verse, I go to lexicon, and the whole thing is there. And I can go one for one. So it's super, super easy, okay? So what is the importance of how to study a biblical word? So first of all, we've got certain words in any language. I know in English like that, in Thai like that. I'm sure in Tagalog or whatever language you use, your mother language will also be the same. There are certain words that sometimes they sound exactly the same, but they mean completely different things. Like, for example, homonyms. It's words that are written exactly the same. Like I can tell you, it was the right decision for you to turn right. Okay? Mm-hmm. So both words, right, is written exactly the same. It's written R-I-G. Yes, sorry. Yeah. I'm just going to show you different ways of writing. So, the example I gave you, it was right to turn right. Right is written like this. It was right to turn right. But then I can tell you, it's not right to write it like that. So you see, I'm still using, it sounds like the same thing, but it means different things. Mm-hmm. It's not right to write it like that. So I've already shown you, just with the word right, that sounds the same, you've already got 3 different meanings. Mm-hmm. And you know, in Hebrew, in Greek, things are also like that. So that's why it's important for us to go to the original, because sometimes we make misunderstandings of a scripture because we are reading it as right when it's supposed to be that right, or the other way around. Mm-hmm. For example, rain. You can have rain like this. Mm-hmm. Rain the kingdom, or you can have rain like that, which means the rain it's raining hard. Okay? So, but they sound the same, but they mean totally opposite things. So if I'm going to read a sentence thinking that it's this rain, I'm going to have misinterpretation of what is written. And in the Greek or in the Hebrew, it's exactly the same thing. So that's why it's important that we actually go to, sometimes the importance of going to one word at a time and really knowing the difference. So words can need to be used
within their context. You've got to read what's before, you've got to read what's after, and you've got to sort of know within that context what does that word mean. And any word that the reader does not understand, what should you do when you don't understand a word? Go look it up, the dictionary. Okay. There's so many times that the understanding of the word, what I understand from it, especially because English is my second language. So sometimes I've got a sort of a way of understanding something that's it's not right. You know, when I did my traffic exam in Portugal to drive a car, I'd done all my schooling in South Africa. So probably my English is better than my Portuguese. So I did all my schooling in South Africa. And there was one question that said to me, when you need to put, you know, when your car has an accident and you've got to put like the triangle to tell other cars that there's an accident ahead. In Portugal, for law, you've got to put that triangle on the street. But in English, pavement is written pavement, right? Pavement, the sidewalk is written pavement. But in Portuguese, the word pavimento, which sounds like pavement, actually means the street. So for me, when I looked at the word pavimento, pavement. And I wrote a completely different answer because my understanding of that question was completely different from what they were telling me. I actually failed because of that. So it taught me a good question. Like, when I don't know the word, go look it up. Go look it up. And in the Bible, it's the same thing, you know. Many times, what the words mean today wasn't what they meant when they were written. What do you understand by the word awful?
Disasters.
Awful, yeah. It's bad, it's disastrous. In the times that the King James Bible was written, the English King James Bible, awful meant full of awe. Full of awe.
Awesome.
Yeah, awful. It's awesome God. There's even a verse that says about the awful majesty of God. Yeah, but it doesn't even have an E. It's written like that in the old King James Bible. So sometimes if you're going to read it, if you're not reading today's word, it means completely different things. And you know, not even going that far. If you just think from place to place, when we look at Matthew 6:6, it says, Jesus says, go into your closet and pray. Okay, so you know, what do we understand by closet? A cupboard where we put our clothes, right?
Yeah.
Jesus wasn't telling you go into your clothes cupboard and sit there and pray. He was telling you go into your private room. So everywhere that's private, that's your closet. But if we're going to take it literally from what we understand today, that's what it means. Another one of these things is like in Acts 2:26 verse 11. It says that Paul compels the Christians to give up Christianity. That was before. It was actually when he was still Saul. Saul compelled the Christians. So what does compel mean? We think compel means to what? Convince, right? It actually meant if you look in the dictionary, it actually says to convince by force. So you force the person, and what it actually means is he pressured them, which is very different. Okay, so it's very important that we understand what the word says. So we're going to go. I want you to tell me what you wrote for your homework, for your question 4, which was about what love means. So your question 4 of your homework was what are the 4 types of love that you can know about from the Greek word love. You can tell me what you found. One of them is agape. Storge. Yeah.
Eros
Eros and Philia. Okay. So, what can you tell me about agape love?
love for giving love.
Love that's giving. What else?
It's
like a God type of love.
God type of love, yes.
Anything else? Does anyone else have anything else written for agape love? Unconditional love. Correct.
Love
of God.
Esteem of evaluation.
Sorry?
Esteem of evaluation.
Love of esteem and evaluation.
Okay. So,
in the Greek, whereas in English we just got the word love. And wherever you read in the Bible, you just read love, love, love. And so for us, it just looks like the same. But the Greek language was a much more descriptive language. And so there's at least 4 written over here. I think from what I read, there's about 7 or 8. But that we know these basic ones, or at least 4. So agape love was the unconditional love. It was the love that God has for us. And the closest thing that in our human way that we could probably think of agape love is like a love of a mother to a child. No, it doesn't matter what your child does or what he's going to become, you're still going to love him. It's unconditional. So there's like, it's not because you behave that I'm going to love you. It's not because you do this that I'm going to. It's like God's love for us. God's love for us was unconditional, and that's the type of agape love. And that's the type of love that God speaks about a lot in the New Testament. This is the type of love that we spoke about. That the Bible, that word agape is what the Bible speaks about. The husband's love to the wife must be agape love. So it's not because the wife acted the way the husband thought she should act, but it's because he's got to love her unconditionally. And Proverbs, just to make you love your wives, if you're not married, write this down for when you're married. Proverbs 18:22 says that when you love your wife in agape love, you will find favor with God.
Proverbs 18:23.
Proverbs 8:22. It says that when you find a wife, you find a good thing, and you will have favor with God. Okay. And I've already told you how your prayers will be hindered. That's in 1 Peter 3 verse 7, if you want to write it down. Okay. So one of the biggest examples, and that was one example that I wanted to use that Bible have to show you. We all know that passage of the Bible that Jesus said to Peter, and that was the first verse I showed you. Peter, that's in, let me see if I've got it written down. John 21 from verse 15 to 16. Jesus said to Peter, Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, yes, Lord, you know that I do. And Jesus said, go and feed my sheep. And then Jesus said again, Peter, do you love me? And he says, yes, I do. And go and feed my sheep. And then he says again, Peter, do you love me? And he says, yes, I do. Go and feed my sheep. And Peter was getting cross because every time Jesus was asking, do you love me? He was saying yes, but Jesus was asking the same questions. It's like, aren't you believing me that I love you? And then Jesus answers him and says, it does not matter, because there's one day that you're going to love me, that you're going to do what you don't want to do. So when we read all this, we think, okay, why was Jesus just asking over and over again, Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? He kept on telling him yes, and then he said, it's okay, you're going to love me. And so you think, if you read in the English, you don't come to a conclusion. But when you go and read in the Greek, when you look at the word love, when Jesus said, Peter, do you agape love me?
Mm-hmm.
And Peter doesn't answer, yes, Jesus, I agape love you. He answers something else. And we're going to come back to that just now, because we're going to speak about the other type of love. So tell me, what was the second type of love you spoke about? Sturgo. Okay, so what can you tell me about that Sturgo love? It's like natural affection.
General love.
Yeah, it's like a love born of familiarity, because you like.
Natural obligation.
Yeah, it's like even with your friends at work. It's not that like deep love, but it's a love.
Natural.
It's love. It can be even a love of a ruler and his people. It can even be the love between an owner and his dog, or me and my cat.
Yeah.
That's that type of love. Okay. What about another type of love? Which one was another one?
Phileo.
Phileo. And what is the phileo type of love?
Friendship.
Unconditional love.
So it's friendship. It's like a brotherly love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a love that's got more to do with affection and emotion. It's not like agape is unconditional. Phileo is more an emotional love. It's a love of feeling. So today I really love you very much, but depending on how you react to me, my phileo love might not be so strong tomorrow. Okay. So it's like a conditional love. It's a love more according to circumstance, even though it's a brotherly love. So unfortunately, it's a more, like it's the type of love. Today I'm head over heels in phileo love with you, but tomorrow you might have broken my heart, and so the head over heels will go a little bit down the drain, okay? So that's the type of love. So going back to what Jesus was asking Peter, Jesus said, Peter, do you agape love me? And how do you think Peter answered him? He didn't say, Jesus, I agape love you. He said, Jesus, I phileo love you. So there's a big difference. And then Jesus would ask him again, Peter, do you love me unconditionally? And Peter said, I love you like a brother. The love like a brother is the love that got him to deny Jesus. Because when the going's good, it's good. But when it's not so good, then the phileo love, it's emotions. Peter was a very emotional man. And so Jesus kept on asking him, because Jesus wanted his love to be unconditional. But Peter he was honest. He kept on telling you, I brotherly love you, I phileo love you. And you can see that when we'll look at it again next week, and we can go so that you can get used to looking at Bible Hub, and you will see what a difference it makes going through those verses. And then after all that, Jesus said, it doesn't matter, Peter, because there's going to come a day that you are going to agape love me. You're going to love me unconditionally. You're going to do things you don't want to do. You know, Peter died for Christ, and he said, I'm not even worthy to die. I don't want to die like my Lord because I'm not worthy of dying like him. So he actually died crucified upside down because he loved him so much. So the agape love finally came, and Jesus knew that it was going to come. But it's completely different from what did you understand before? I just thought, okay, why? Is it because he's going to deny you? Yes, it was, but there was not that real understanding of why was Jesus repeating this. So it means a world of difference when we go and we actually find out what difference it means, okay? So then there was another type of love, right? Which one is the other type of love?
Sis Sau, that answer by Peter, I fully love you. So that sounds like it's a response to love as well. Respond to affection.
Yeah, so Peter loved him like a brother, but it wasn't unconditional. That's the only thing. It wasn't unconditional love. Yeah, so he loved him like a brother. Okay, so we've had agape love, phileo love, and storgos love. Which is the fourth one?
Eros.
Eros love. So, Eros love, what is that?
Romantic.
Romantic, sexual love. Selfish love. So, okay, this Eros love is not mentioned in the Bible, in the first, in the New Testament. So I wanted to tell you, like, true love, agape love, you know the love is patient, love is kind, love does not keep count of wrongs. 1 Corinthians 13:4 and 8, where it says love is patient, it's agape is patience, agape is, so that's true love, okay? So Eros love is not like this. Eros love is a more fleshly love. But even though it's not spoken of in the New Testament, it's spoken of in the Old Testament. But it's not spoken as Eros because the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. But that type of love is explained in the Old Testament. So, if we read, which one of the books do you think the Eros love is spoken about?
The love for money.
No, love for money is just a lustful love, but I want to speak about relationships.
Relationship.
Yeah.
First lust.
How about David to
Bathsheba.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be. If you read the book of Songs of Solomon, it's all full of Eros love. And there's nothing wrong with Eros love because God, He instituted marriage. And God tells that you have to love each other like that. Your desire must be for your wife and your wife's desire must be for you. And God celebrates love and He celebrates romance and He celebrates sexuality because He created it this way. So just to show you Eros love, if you read Songs of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 6 and 8, it's a complete expression of Eros love. So this is Solomon saying, he says, how beautiful you are and how pleasant my love and such delights. Your statue is like a palm tree. Your breasts are like clusters of fruit. I said I will climb a palm tree and take hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like clusters of grapes and the fragrance of your breath like apricots. Obviously today, in our day and age, we would really laugh if somebody would send you a poem full of fruits. But in those days it probably was very romantic. And so, but this is Eros love. And another one is in Proverbs Proverbs 5:18 to 19, and we know that Proverbs is a word of advice, but this is advice for marriage. Because there's a very big difference. The word of God does not change. So if you are not married, God does not want you to have eros love. He wants you to have agape love and filial love. Eros love is the type of love that's only for in the marriage. Okay? And Proverbs 5:18 to 19 says, "Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth." It's all about your wife. It's not about your girlfriend. It's not about your wife to be. It's about the one that is your wife already. The wife of your youth. It says, "She's like a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breast fill you and delight you at all times, and be intoxicated always in her love." But this is the type of love that God has set apart just for the married couple. And this is the type of love that, in addition to agape love, the unconditional love. Why do you need unconditional love in your marriage?
Because you're going to need it.
You are going to need it. If you want your marriage to stand, you know that person that you think is perfect?
Yeah.
The day you walk down the altar, when you get home at night, you're probably going to find a couple of flaws. No. It's like this. Never mind how perfect the person is. He's human. And there's going to be expectations that you have built up, that you expect that your husband's going to be like, that you expect that your wife is going to be like, but they're not going to fulfill your expectations. And one of the things that maybe speaking more to women than to men, because we women, we fantasize that this guy, okay, I know he's got a flaw, but I'm going to change him to be like this. He's going to grow to be like this. And unfortunately, they never change. And the guy marries and he thinks she's never going to change. And she changes. So, but why do you need, because it's like this, maybe why sometimes women are more have more deception, or not deception, like feel disillusioned sometimes in their love, is because they expect their husband to be Superman, superhero. He's going to fulfill everything, all your expectations, everything. And you know, there's only one that's going to fulfill all your expectations, all your needs, all your desires. Because there's a place of craving that belongs only to the Lord. But sometimes you expect your husband to be able to do that. And then there's going to be disillusionment, because he's going to fail you. And so we have to have that agape love so that we don't look at the flaws, but we look for the best in each other. Agape love says, you expect the best of him. Even when he's done something wrong, even when she's done something wrong, you still expect the best of him or her, because God doesn't see him or her as the product that she is now. God sees him as perfect in his image. And so when we become critical of our partners, that's more the filial type of love, or the eros type of love. We see all the flaws. But true love doesn't look at the flaws. True love sees your partner like God sees him. And so through all this, the eros love is also important in the marriage, because you need to keep the romance alive. It doesn't matter if you're 60 years old, you're still going to need romance in your marriage. Otherwise it's going to be boring. So there's still going to be times that you're going to need that eros love, and it's a combination of both. There's got to be a good balance. Okay, so just looking through this is just one word in the Bible. Look how much we've just discussed from different aspects, looking in the Greek, looking what the Word of God says. Just look how much we've discussed and what a different perception it gives you of love. Okay? Okay, so I'm not going to show you more of the computer because that is not so. Okay, so I'm going to just speak with you quickly about another subject, because sometimes when we look at the Bible, and this subject we're going to be speaking probably about next week, because we're going to be speaking about studying a topic. But since we are already on the roll and I can't go back onto the computer, let's speak about, sometimes there's things that come up that we are not sure. Does the Bible say I can do this, or does the Bible not say? We go back to the principles. So we can use it as the principles. For example, are Christians allowed to drink alcohol?
They are not allowed to be drunk.
Anyone else have any other ideas? So, you're correct. There's nowhere in the Bible that it specifically tells you Christians cannot drink alcohol. There are a lot of Christians, and even in our churches, I know most of our pastors do not drink alcohol as a principle. And the reason they don't drink alcohol as a principle is there's various reasons. So they'll rather not touch it than actually drink and be caught in a bad situation. And so one of the principles that me at our home we've adopted is like this. Coming from a Portuguese background, in our culture, it's normal whenever you have a dinner, there's a bottle of wine. My father, I remember all my life, my father would drink like this much of a glass of wine every single night. I never saw my father drink more than that. But every night at the table was the normal thing. When you put out the table, you put out the bottle of wine because he was going to drink. So in our culture, it's very, very normal. And there was actually no problem because my dad never had any problem with alcohol. So what we've adopted is if we're alone at home and we want, which maybe once a year, we might drink a glass of wine. It's very, very rare. But if we feel like it, we will have. We don't feel any guilt in having a glass of wine because we've never had any problems with drunkenness. We've never had any addiction. We've never had any problem. So we would. If we're going to invite somebody to our house, and it's somebody that we know very intimately, and we know that the person has absolutely no problem with wine, like we had some Portuguese brothers and sisters from Christ that were in Patia. They were here with us for about 8 years. So if we were having dinner just with them, we knew them intimately. We knew that they had absolutely no problem. So we would have a bottle of wine. And usually we would get together. Sometimes we were 6 adults, and one bottle of wine would give for the 6 of us for a night. So it just shows you how much we drank. But we would have it without any problem. But if we're going to invite other people from church, we don't have wine. And it's not double standard. You're not saying, oh, you're two-faced. No, I'm not. It's just that I don't know what the struggles of that person is. What if he's been struggling with alcoholism? What if he has a problem with addiction? And if I go and have wine, he's going to feel, oh, I can have it. And it's going to be a stumbling block for him. You know, one of the greatest examples I had of that was for the last 8 years, I've been leading the ladies' Bible study in Patia. And every time when we used to come to December, I always used to bring from Portugal port wine, but really good reserve port wine. So when we used to celebrate Christmas, I always used to bring out the little glasses, and everyone would have a little bit of port, and we would share it and celebrate Christmas. And for some reason, one year, I don't know why, but either I didn't bring or I didn't have enough for everyone, so I didn't share. Luckily, praise God, God must have protected me from sharing, because about a month or two later, I went to lunch with one of the ladies, and she said, I was telling her about one of the Thai people that was struggling with addiction to alcohol, and what could I do to help her. She said, look, if you want, I will take her to AA Anonymous because I go there. What did that mean? It meant that she had been an alcoholic. What if I, out of my ignorance, had offered port wine to everyone? Either I would have embarrassed her because she would not have been able to take it, so she would have to give me an explanation, or she would have taken it and it could have been the stepping block to going back. So we've got to be very careful. That's why the Bible says, be careful not to be a stepping block. It says, everything is, you're free. You're free to do what you want. There's nothing wrong with it, but don't be a stumbling block for somebody else. And then another of the reasons is, the Bible says, keep away from anything that even has the appearance of evil. And the appearance of evil, that's in 1 Thessalonians 5:22. 1 Thessalonians 5:22 says, abstain from all appearance of evil. Okay, so we're all Christians. You guys, you're all Christians. You go, especially in the city we live in, Patia. I'm not sure what Rayong is like. But Patia is full of those street bars. And you go with your friends, you go to the street bar, and you're not getting drunk, but you're just drinking your beer there. But the next day, the person that was standing next there, he saw you in that bar where all the prostitutes are with the beer in your hand, and you're going to want to evangelize them. What was the appearance that you showed him? Was it appearance of godliness? You wouldn't do anything wrong. You were just having a beer. You didn't even speak to the girls. You were just with your friend. But what was the appearance that you showed? So we've got to be careful. We are ambassadors. So we have to act like ambassador. We have to act Christ-like. It's not that you can't mix with the world. You have to go to the world, but you've got to show the light in the darkness. You can't be like the darkness. And so even when you didn't do anything wrong, but the appearance was there. And so you might have actually stopped the possibility, then obviously with your life, and if you've got time to share with the person's going to see that you don't have that problem. But what something could have been easy, it might be difficult to get through. Okay, so this was the way that I shared about if you can drink or not. The sin of drunkenness, that is a sin. Let me just try and find out what some verses about it. Okay. I don't think I brought it. I thought I'd taken it down. But I will send it to you through that messenger group, because I've got all the verses. I've got verses in the Old Testament that tell you all the bad things that happened to people because they drank too much. Like we know Noah. Noah wasn't a drunkard, but it came an occasion that he drank, and the effects were really, really bad. We know Lot, the same thing. Because he drank, the effects were really bad. So drunkenness has always brought devastation on people. And you know, the fact, like we say, it's drunkenness that is a sin, it's not drinking alcohol. But sometimes we lose a little bit of control. And look, I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you. About 2 years ago, when it was my daughter's wedding, before the wedding I went to a dinner with my daughter and some of my old colleagues in Portugal. And like I told you, I usually drink a little bit of wine. I've got no problem. So I don't worry about drinking wine. We went to that dinner and I drank some wine. What happened was that because you're at dinner in a restaurant with the waiters, they keep on filling your cup. So you never know how much you drank, because to you, your cup's always like that. So you see, and I drank, but I felt fine. Honestly, that's why like sometimes it's so dangerous, because I felt fine. I got the car and we drove home, and I almost had an accident. And I only realized that I was not fine because I almost had an accident. So I was not worried about what could have happened. I was not. So I then understood I had drunk too much, because consciously I wasn't really worried about what could have happened. Whereas if I was conscious of everything that I was doing, I would have been, oh my gosh, how could I have done this? Whatever, look what I could have caused. And if that accident had happened, it would have been my fault, because I was in the wrong. And imagine I'd taken the breath thing, and I would have been a drunk driver. So imagine the stupidity of this. And so I'm being honest with you, look, I don't have a problem with drink, but look at the stupidity, because I think it's okay to drink alcohol. Okay? So that's not going to ever repeat again. So I hope that you learn from my being transparent with you that you want to say, because we always think we're okay. Okay? When you get the motorbike, so you always think you're okay. And I'm going to send you a video clip by Perry Stone. And he's really radical, okay? He really tells you you're not supposed to drink. It's not like me, I'm telling you, not because of stumbling blocks. He's really radical. But the things that he brings up, they are so honest and true that I think you should hear it. And then you've got to make your own decisions, just like I had to make my own decision. But biblically, I do not find anywhere that it really says you cannot. So I just wanted to bring that forward to you, okay? So if there's any other things, like this is the principle of drinking, what we spoke about was about love. If there's any other principles, like we spoke about abortion, if there's any other things that it's not very clear, but you want to know about, put a message on the group page, then we can all maybe work through it together, and then we can discuss it together. Because there's a lot of subjects that sometimes we want to address and we don't really know how to address, and if we get through it together, it would be interesting and it would be nice. So work it out, okay? Okay, guys. So basically, this is about how to study a biblical word and the difference that it makes in studying, and also the principles. So next week, you've got the next two lessons, lesson 5 and lesson 6. I think it's about, who's got a book? What's lesson 5 and what's lesson 6?
How to study a topic. How to study a topic.
So you've got homework to do there, especially the biblical character. You're going to have to study a biblical character. And that's going to be very interesting. So I want you guys to choose a character from the Bible, any person that you want. don't choose one of the easy ones. Like, don't say, let me tell you about Paul. Everyone knows about the Apostle Paul. So choose a biblical character that like people don't really know about.
Okay.
And bring what you can find that you didn't know, and it was a surprise to you. That like, okay, because I searched this person, I didn't know that this person was like that. And I'm not going to give you examples, otherwise maybe you will want to choose a character, and then I will have spoiled your fun. But I had a lot of fun doing that lesson. And yeah, I chose Jesus. He was my savior.
I want to know more.
Mary Magdalene.
But I had I really enjoyed my time, and I'll probably share with you next week. I'm not sure if you will choose the same character that I did or not, but I'll share some aspects that I had no idea about this person in the Bible. And I mean, I've been a Christian for over 30 years, so I should know a little bit about the person, but I really had no idea about this person. So it was really interesting. So I hope you find it as interesting as I do. So I'm looking forward to see who you choose. And then just prepare like 2 or 3 minutes, just tell us about that person. So each one of you, okay, be ready. You're going to share with us, okay? And don't all miss next week so you don't have to share.
Oh.
Okay.
And don't
Okay.
copy.
Don't all speak about Jesus. Okay, guys, who's going to pray for us so that we can go home?
Regine. Regine. Tapos na si Elijah. Nix.
Okay, next.
Nix.
Okay, brother, let's go close the prayer.
Yeah. Good. Next, God, let's pray.
Okay, let's pray for the Lord. Heavenly Father, Lord God, thank you, Lord God, for giving us this opportunity, Lord God, the revelations, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God, for this chance, Lord God, to study your word, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God, for all of these things that we need to know, Lord God, that we need to dig deeper, Lord God. Thank you for the presence, Lord God, for being with us, Lord God. Thank you for being the atmosphere that we feel inside this place, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God, for protecting us, Lord God, in every word that we say, Lord God. Thank you, Lord God, for all of these opportunities, Lord God, because without you, Lord God, we will have no light in our past, Lord God. So here we are, Lord God. We give you the glory, Lord God, the praise, Lord God. In Jesus' name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Hey guys, see you next week.
Thank you.